What's up, guys? Welcome to my replay viewers. Thank you guys so much for jumping in and checking out my broadcast. Sorry I missed you live, but so glad you guys took some time to check it out. What is up to my live crew this morning? Great to see you all this morning and so glad to have you here. I appreciate y'all coming in to hang out with me on this Tuesday morning. Shirley, great morning to you. Tasha, good morning to you. Kat, what's going on, girl? Brian, what's up, man? Adam, great morning to you. Alexis, good morning. Thanks for coming in on YouTube. I appreciate y'all. Y'all are amazing. Cheers and good morning to you. It's Tuesday. Glad to see you. Glad to be here. Today we're going to talk about branding in a fun way. I'm going to talk about, are you building a boring brand today? This is easier to do than you might imagine. There's so many things that go into building a business and building a brand, but then it's very possible to get into doing all the things that you feel like are necessary to building your brand, getting the function right and getting the content right and getting the theming right and the marketing right and getting all these different components right for your business, and then find out that just this whole thing is real boring. So today I'm going to talk to you about 3 specific things that are an absolute necessity when you're building your brand. And if you are missing these 3 things, you absolutely 100% have a boring brand. So I'm going to make sure that nobody's boring this morning, because nobody likes boring. My mission is to help you attract paying clients and build a business that's profitable and sustainable. And the thing is, y'all, is that the 21st century audience that we're dealing with today has got an attention span of a lightning bolt. And boy, do they get bored quick. So we got to give them something that they can sink their teeth into. We got to give them something they can get excited about, right? Patrice, good morning to you, buddy. Sherry, good morning to you. Cheers, and good morning to everybody. So that's what we're talking about today, y'all. Are you building a boring brand? I'm going to give you 3 things that are an absolute necessity to create a brand that sticks and a marketing language that is engaging and attractive. So grab your pen, grab your paper, grab your favorite morning beverage, and I'll be right back with you. Hang tight. Am I back? Am I here? That was not the time Wi-Fi for the Wi-Fi to be like, see ya. I just want, sometimes I feel like I want to give a call to the Wi-Fi company and be like, listen, there are certain times of day that are fine for you to do a little Wi-Fi refresh. Anytime between the hour of 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. is not okay. I mean, I'm not okay with it. But at least I'm still here. It's not you, it's me. Oh man, hopefully that's the first time you've ever heard that before. It's not you, it's me. Am I the first man that's ever said that to you? It's not you, it's me. So it was me today. That's okay. Listen, Wi-Fi people. I mean, are you kidding me? Somebody needs to give us a call. You know what I need to do? Isn't it a thing now that like anytime you're mad about anything that's going on in the world, you create a petition? We should create a petition that don't be messing with Justin's Wi-Fi router at the 8 o'clock hour, because we got work to do around here. Y'all kidding me? They're messing with us this morning. Man. Okay. Let me introduce myself in case if I had anybody that was brand new to me today, they probably already left. So I probably don't need to even say hello to any first timers because they're probably gone. So the only people that are here are people that love me. So I appreciate y'all. Y'all are amazing. If I do have any first timers that are still listening, y'all are awesome. And I appreciate you. My name is Justin, and I do not have a boring brand. I promise my live videos will always be entertaining. What I do is I specialize in helping people like you, startup entrepreneurs, build a profitable and sustainable brand, leveraging the power of social media marketing and how to not be boring. We're going to talk about that today. How to not be boring. Are you building a boring brand? If you are missing these 3 things, you might be boring. So let's talk about how not to be boring this morning. I'm going to set this up for you this way. Cheers and good morning to y'all. Happy Tuesday. Y'all are amazing. I appreciate you. No way. Mel says school started already. Dang, girl. That's crazy. That's early. My kids start mid-August. That's even early. Whoa. I still got 1 family vacation left before my kids go back to school. Praise the Lord. All right. Back to our content. That's what we're talking about today. Sherry says I might be boring. I hope not, Sherry. I don't think so. But let's find out. So I was talking to a new client recently about a freemium that they were creating, because I've been talking a lot about freemiums lately, right? Freemiums are awesome. By the way, I have been working. So some of y'all know this, but I am working on building myself a new website. Whoo, just wait. Everybody put just wait in the chat stream. Man, I can't wait till you see it. You're going to fall out your chair. As soon as you see it, bam, I'm going to hear thuds all over the planet as soon as you see it. But I'm also creating a spectacular freemium too, which is very exciting. I can't wait to show it to you. And I don't even have a release date on this yet because there's so much specifics that I want to get into this thing, get it just right. But I can't wait to show it to you. Very exciting. But anyway, I was talking to one of my clients about a freemium that they were creating because I've been talking about freemiums a lot lately. And she had followed all the advice that I had given her and all the instruction that I had given her so that the content was good and the flow was on point. Except, I went through this thing and I went through it front, cover to cover, went through the entire process. And, I got to the end and I just didn't have that ignition factor, that I was looking for. That ignition factor is when you have been inspired, where you're like, it hits you in such a way where you're like, yeah, what I'm talking about? It just didn't have that factor. So we had a coaching call together after I'd had a chance to review it. And I told her, I said, listen, your work is awesome. And I love how much instruction and value you have packed into this thing, but you have a problem. And I said, I don't think that the prospect that goes through this freemium is going to get to the end and say, this is the coach that I've been looking for. That's your problem. And of course, she was a bit surprised because she had kind of followed all of my instructions. She's like, well, why not? She's like, what? Why would they not get to the end and be like, this is the coach? I said, because it's boring. And she was kind of caught off guard. And listen, I'll tell you this. If you hire me and you work with me, and those are my people that this about me, I am honest. You will always get honesty with me. And I have committed to that up front, that I will always be truthful with you. I will always be honest with you. I will never sugarcoat something to make you feel good about something that needs to change. I will always tell you straight up. And sometimes what I tell you is not always necessarily what you want to hear, but it is what you need to hear. I told her it's boring. It's boring. I said, I don't even know if someone would get all the way through this thing. And I said, so the content in the flow is excellent, but we've got to put some personality in it. So I share with her 3 things that I'm going to share with you today that I believe will help you make sure you're not boring as you are building your brand and your content and all the things that you're doing. And if these 3 things are missing, your core messaging will be bland and unappealing. And even if it's, because you can have the right content and the right message pointed at the right audience and have it completely fall flat on its face simply because it's missing the sweet sauce. It's like cold oatmeal with no brown sugar or raisins. Y'all know what I'm talking about? Or it's like pancakes without syrup. or nachos without cheese. Like, who does that? That's what it's like. You got nachos and you don't got cheese. That's your problem. Justin said that. You can go and do a share. You can share this video out. Right? You can do a share, and you can be like, if you got nachos but no cheese, you got a boring brand. Yep. So that's what we're talking about today. So here's your list. I promise you, listen to me. Before I share with you my secrets today, if I ever do anything that's boring, please tell me. Because I don't want to be boring. Like, nobody wants to be boring. I don't want to be boring. And if I ever do anything like, Justin, that was a little boring, please say so I can fix myself. Give me the recipe, Kat says. Okay. Number one, let me take a sip of my coffee. Cheers and good morning to you guys, all right? Number one is dimension. Nachos without cheese would just be chips. But what if you did like nachos with like some onions, and you did like some black olives and some jalapenos, maybe a little bit of beans on there, but there's no cheese? Gross. Who does that? Yuck. No, we're not talking about nachos today. This is not a cooking channel. This is a branding channel. Dimension is your number one. Everybody put dimension. I got to make sure your heads are straight this morning. Everybody put dimension in the chat stream. Dimension means different characteristics or accents to the voice of your brand. One analogy for this is to think of your voice like the flavor of your brand. All right. So are you funny? Are you passionate? Are you down to earth? Are you practical? Are you poised? Are you warm-hearted? Are you a little bit sassy? How many of y'all are a little bit sassy? Some of y'all got some sass. Like, hands up if you're sassy. Some of y'all are sassy. Foul mouth can be cussing can be a characteristic of your brand. And listen, and I just didn't throw that last one out there to see if you're paying attention. Foul mouth is something that people leverage. Some people have profanity as a part of their brand dimension. Right? While you obviously you don't have to do that, and I'm not personally a fan of it, but it's absolutely one possible flavor. Think about Gary Vee. Man, Gary Vee is probably Gary Vaynerchuk. I'm sure most of y'all know who Gary Vee is. Gary Vee is probably one of the most brilliant entrepreneurs on the planet. The man has got a brain that's crazy, and he's so packed full of wisdom, and he can see straight through problems and solve them in ways that I've never seen. He's brilliant, but I cannot stand the cussing. Man, I can't stand the cussing all the time, right? It's so the thing is with Gary Vee, the man is brilliant, but would I ever want to hire him for one-on-one coaching? Not a chance. Can you imagine getting on a Zoom call with Gary Vee one-on-one and trying to talk to him about the problems that you're having or the things that you're trying to figure out or the struggles that you're doing? I mean, I feel like you would just get destroyed. I feel like he would verbally destroy you, right? No, not a chance. All right, that's something that he is who he is, and he's leveraged that. But the thing is, it turns off a lot of people. It turns me off, right? But it also really, really connects to a certain audience of people. There's some people that just love it. They love the straight up, say it how it is kind of approach. That is a brand voice. That's dimension, right? So when you think about this, often when we're working to help clients transform, or we're trying to help clients, break through something or accomplish whatever they're accomplished, we're focused on the process and what they need to know in order to move forward. And while it's important, how we deliver is also equally important. You need to be very aware of how you carry and present yourself in the various settings of your business. In person versus live online versus one-on-ones on Zoom, right? Those are all different settings that people are going to have an experience with you. And so you need to be thinking about not just the information that you're sharing, but how you're sharing it. I need to be thinking about every single time that I do a live video, what is the dimension of how I am sharing? And I'll tell you this too, a couple things that I've always thought have been a secret to great content is I really go back to, what really inspired the founding of YouTube, right? What inspired the founding of YouTube was video content that would be one of two things, either educational or entertaining. That's what made YouTube start. YouTube's the giant king of video. It'll always be the king of video. But there's two primary reasons why people initially flooded to YouTube and why still today YouTube is king of video. It's because you can go there and you can learn anything. Like anytime I'm ever trying to figure out anything, if I don't know how to do it, I'll go to YouTube and look up a video and you can learn anything. So education is powerful. But then entertainment is the other thing. If people want to just go and just find some funny videos or be entertained, also YouTube is the go-to place. So education and entertainment are powerful. What I like to do is cross those two. And so I want to provide you with educational content in an entertaining fashion. I call it edutaining. I want to entertain you in an educate you in an entertaining fashion. So when I think about my brand dimension, I want you to experience my poise. I want you to experience my confidence. I want you to experience my knowledge and expertise, but I also want you to experience my personality and my humor, because I want you to see that for me, not only does this guy know what he's talking about and he can absolutely help me build my brand and my business, but I could have a good time hanging out with him. And if I can have fun, this much fun on a live video, imagine how much fun we'll have on a Zoom, right? But every video, it's not always fun and laugh and jokes and kind of having a good time. Sometimes I get real serious, and sometimes we talk about the Lord, and sometimes we talk about what the Lord's doing in our lives, and sometimes y'all make me cry, and I really hate it when you do that. But sometimes a good cry is healthy. But I want people to see the different facets of me and the dimensions of me, so they get a well-rounded experience and understand what it's going to be like in the various settings with me. Because people, if you're just trying to build a social following, then they're probably only going to have one setting with you, and that's live online. But if you plan to let someone hire you and you're working with clients, you're going to have lives on video maybe, but then you're also going to have one-on-ones on Zoom, and then you're also going to have possibly in-person experiences, live in person. And you need to think about what is the dimension, the experience that people are going to have with you, and the dimensions. Boring brand alert. If all of your brand content and messaging is bland so you don't offend people, you will never attract your true people. All right? Because it's the thing. Some people try to just sugarcoat or vanilla coat their whole message because they just want to appeal to everybody. I don't want to offend this person, so I'm just going to be real vanilla. Or I don't want to be too, bold because I don't want, to blah, blah, blah. No, you got to be who you are. You got to be who you are. If all of your brand content and messaging is bland so that you don't offend people, you will never attract your true people. All right. One of my brand flavors, as I told you earlier, is direct honesty, which might also be seen as authenticity. You could call it that. But I commit to always telling you what you need to hear, which is not always what you want to hear. It's necessary for me, right? You don't pay me to be your best buddy and make you feel comfortable with your excuses. You pay me to help you get results. So honesty with my clients is one of my core business values, and it's one of my brand dimensions. So here's what you can do to spice up your brand. That's what I challenge for you to do. My challenge for you is pick 3 words that expresses who you want to be. Think about 3 specific words that define who you want to be and how you want to be received in the market. They should be related to who you are, but they can also be aspirational. For example, if you've always wanted to let your funny side show, but you're a little bit nervous about that, now's your chance, right? You can be intentional about how you want to present yourself. Pick those 3 words and say, above all, no matter what, however people receive me through my content, through my brand, and through my messaging, these are 3 things that I really want people to be able to experience with me. And then once you pick those 3 words, evaluate your content, your freebies, the emails you've been sending, the social posts you've been doing, the website you have, based upon your 3 words, and ask yourself, are you living up to who you want to be? Are you being safe and bland? Are you being boring? Do you need to do a reset? Do you need to do a refresh? And then from here on out, be intentional about making sure that however you bring yourself to market, you are presenting yourself in that way. Okay? That's number 1. That's dimension. Number 2, We talked about having a good cry. Number 2 is vulnerability. Vulnerability. Cheers, y'all. I love that, Mel. Just say it as long as it's not a lie. Absolutely right. I love that. Relatable. I like Sherry's words. If you know what your words are, put them in there. Relatable, inspirational, and trustworthy. I love that. Relatable, inspirational, and trustworthy. Yeah. I'd follow that person. Someone who's relatable. I get them. Someone who inspires me to take action, inspires me to move, inspires me to think, and someone who I can trust. Absolutely. Excellent words. Love those words. 100%. Excellent words. All right. Number 2, vulnerability. No one wants to see perfection. Y'all agree with that? Y'all agree with that? No one wants to see perfection, especially from someone who's trying to help them transform, someone who's trying to help them move forward, someone who's trying to help them break through or break free, because perfection is not relatable, right? Like how many of y'all want to follow someone who is just perfect all the time? You don't feel like you get them, right? So vulnerability, this is my challenge for you. Show us, let us experience your vulnerable side. What mistakes have you made? What's personal for you? I'm serious. Like, have a good cry on camera and just watch how much your audience floods to you in response. Now, I don't recommend I'm not going to say recommend. I mean, because I am recommending it. But I'm saying, don't approach your message or don't approach your content with, say, I'm going to go out in live video. I'm going to have a good cry today. I have had a cry several times on camera. Never once was it intentional. But what happens with me is that there's certain things in my life, certain stories in my life, certain seasons in my journey where I've told stories, I share moments of failure, moments of panic, moments of desperation, moments where I was at my lowest and wasn't sure how to get through it. And I share those stories to help you understand that I've been where you've been. I've gone where you're trying to go. I've worked through it, and there's things I've learned from it. And there's certain things that I have worked through in my life where when I get talking about those, I can't help but just, because it's hard, it's hard stuff. It's tough, but being vulnerable enough to share those things with you, it brings it up. It just happens, right? So, but don't be afraid of that. I used to be afraid of that, man. I remember the first time. I actually remember the very first time that I cried on camera, and I was on Periscope. I had only been on Periscope for, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months. My beginning of my live stream journey, I was still trying to figure out what the heck I was doing online. And the Lord prompted me just to share my testimony. And at the time, I was doing live videos that were anywhere from 40 to 60 minutes, So I'm like, I'm going to share my testimony. I decided to do it on Saturday morning, so it was a little bit more personal. And so I was going to go on. I was going to share my testimony. And I was planning on doing about a 45-minute broadcast, and I ended up talking for 3.5 hours. And my audience stayed with me for 3.5 hours. And I remember getting to certain points in my story and just broke down and couldn't talk because it just brings it up, And I remember I was like, I held my poise pretty well on the camera, despite the fact that I had tears. You ever get to that point in a cry where you get to that point, like it's like the introduction to the cry, where your eyes start to well up a little bit and it starts to get a little bit hard to talk, but then you break past the point where the floodgates just open and your nose is running and you can't even say a word. You can't literally talk. You ever get to that point, right? That is where I got to. I broke past the watery eyes, and I got into straight out pouring and just broke down bawling. And I couldn't stop it. And I remember I was just bawling. But I'll tell you what, the support on camera, man, the support from my audience, from that tribe, I think that moment was a huge moment for me and my audience, because up until that point, I had presented myself very intentionally, I was very poised, very confident, I was very structured. And over the years of me being a content creator, I've just learned that my people don't want to see this perfect little machine of a business owner. They want to see a real person that just talks to them like a real person. So that's what I do, because I love y'all, right? I love y'all. I love hanging out with y'all. So, boring brand alert. Here's your boring brand alert. Everybody put that in the chat stream. Boring brand alert. Your boring brand alert for this one is, if you're thinking about, going back to vulnerability, always sharing what your ideal clients should do without telling stories about the mistakes that you have made and the seasons that you have gone through and the challenges you have faced will make an incredibly boring brand, because it's not relatable. People want to know your journey. They want to know why you are who you are. They want to know why the strategies and the advice that you have work. The reason why the things that I teach you work is because I've lived them. I don't give you hypothetical concept that I learned from a book or from someone else's content or for some training that I've gone through. The stuff that I teach you is because I have lived it and I've done it, and I teach you what works. Because when I started my business, I didn't have a me in my corner. I did it all myself. And so my mission as a coach and as a business owner is to help you and teach you the things that I wish I would have known when I first started, because I wrestled through some seasons trying to figure it out on my own. All right. And I'll tell you again, going back to being vulnerable, this was a challenge for me when I first started my business. I thought that for people to trust me and want to hire me, that I'd have to appear as if I had it all together and as if I had all the answers. And that's simply just not the case. Now there's a line here. You don't want to, there's a flip side of the spectrum. You don't want to show up looking like a blubbering idiot all the time. Right? Let's have some balance here. Right? Confidence is still incredibly important. I've never lost my confidence. I've always presented myself as someone who is confident in who I am and what I do. I'm still on a journey. I'm still learning. There's still things that I've done wrong. There's still things that I've screwed up. There's still things that I'm working on within myself. But I'm not afraid to be vulnerable. All right? I'm not afraid to be vulnerable. So this is what I would tell you with this. My recommendation for the vulnerability piece is to pick 3 stories. And this is what I did when I first started. Pick 3 stories that you can share that highlight a transformational lesson that you experienced that could be shared as a learning experience in your journey. And then find ways to interject those stories. Like, for example, one of my stories that I've shared often, and many of y'all have probably all heard it, was the day that I got invited to do live video. It was February 2015. I'm not going to tell you the whole story because many of y'all have heard it, but it was February 2015. I had been in my business for about 7 months. I was growing locally. I had a small audience of local businesses that I was working with. And I thought I had it all together. I thought I was growing slowly, but I was growing, and I was confident. I was overconfident, and I was doing things my way. And I got invited to do live video. This live video was just coming out. Periscope was the first live video platform ever. And I got challenged to do live video. And it was my mom. My mom called me. She said, I'm in a mastermind. And I got challenged to do a video every day for the month of February on Periscope, and I want you to do it with me. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do this live video thing. I'm doing fine. I'm doing good at what I'm doing. Long story short, I gave mom all my excuses, and really what it was fear. It was insecurity. I was struggling with. I was afraid of putting myself out there. I was insecure about what I would say. I doubted my worth and my value. I'm like, who's going to want to watch me on a live video? Now, who's going to sit and listen to me? Well, who am I? I was so insecure about so many things. And I was just wrestling with a lot of the external circumstances that in my half, like so many people had judged my value. So many people had judged my worth. So many people had judged me just for thinking that I could start my own business. And that had really, really, really beat me down. And I liked my little small, little safe little nest of clients that I was working with because I could control that environment. But as soon as I put myself out on live video, I'm putting myself out to the world and giving them the opportunity to judge me. And it freaked me out. And so I gave mom all my excuses, like I'm good at what I'm doing and I know I'm already fine and blah, 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 blah. Bunch of excuses. And thankfully, the person on the other end of the phone was someone who loves me and doesn't say no when they believe the Lord's telling her to tell them something. As my mom said to me, Justin Ryan Kappen. That's my middle name. Now you know it. You can use it on me. Justin Ryan Kappen. She said, you've been presenting in front of people your entire career. Why couldn't you not use a platform that gets you access to the whole world work for you? And it was the word presenting that changed my mind. I said, okay. Okay. I'll try it. I'll give it 30 days. I'll give it 30 days and we'll see what happens in 30 days. And live video changed my life, changed my business, changed everything. But it was a journey. But even with this, I tell that story not to tell you just get out and do live video. I tell you that story because I want you to understand that I have not always been this confident, poised, perfect content presenter on camera. I started with my first video just like you'd have. My first video was garbage, straight garbage. I deleted it. It was so awful. Now, I wish I hadn't deleted it because I could use it as a learning experience. But nobody starts out as an expert. Every pro was once an amateur, right? Every expert was once a beginner. Do not be insecure about the skills that you have yet to master. Be confident in your potential. I have always been confident in my potential. I've always known that the Lord has given me a gift. He's given me an ability. He's given me talent and expertise, and I can leverage that and give it to the world. I've always been confident in who God made me to be. And so grounding myself in that has given me confidence to present myself to people who don't know me, because I may not be confident in this craft yet, but I'm confident in who I am and who God made me. And I know that I'm designed for a purpose. I have a mission and an assignment and a calling on my life today. And I'm going to step into that. I'm going to lean into that. I'm going to show God that I'm going to show up for him today. And I know if I show up for him today, he's going to give me my next assignment and my next step. And I'm just waiting for that today. What has the Lord showed you and told you to do that you've been waiting on and waiting on and waiting on? And when are you going to step out and show him that you're confident in your potential and you're confident in who he made you and that you're going to let him use you? Take that step and just watch him show up for you. Whew. That's number 2. Okay, so I told you. Before I go to number 3, pick 3 stories. I highly encourage this. Pick 3 stories that you can share that highlight experiences that you've had, transformational lessons that you've had, journeys that you've taken that could be used as a learning experience for other, and share those things. Now, this is what I would also encourage you with this, is write out how you would tell those stories. Write it out for yourself. Write out how you would tell those stories and in what settings you would use them, and then practice them and be ready for the opportunity to share. Here's another boring brand alert. You're all ready? Boring brand alert. I said, write them out and practice your delivery, because there is nothing worse than trying to listen to someone attempting to tell a story who rambles, who can't articulate their thoughts, or gets lost telling their own story. Don't be that person. Y'all agree? I mean, there's nothing worse than that, than trying to listen to someone who gets lost in their own story. So as I'm telling you, stories like this, when you're going to leverage a story where you want to use this as a powerful, method of engagement for your potential clients, you got to practice them. Alexis, what's up, girl? You got to practice those stories and be able to share them in a way that it's going to be impactful, because when you ramble or you can't articulate or you get lost telling your own story, it is the worst thing to listen to. You're so welcome, Alexis, and good morning to you. All right. That's number 2 is vulnerability. Cheers and good morning, y'all. All right. Number 3, last one. We're going to get out of here again. Today, guys, we're talking about are you building a boring brand? Here's 3 things that are an absolute necessity. We've talked about dimension, talking about vulnerability. The third one I'm going to give you is action. All right. Action. Your brand will not have staying power unless you challenge people to take action. All right. They need to see you as the person who can get them to move, who can get them to push past procrastination, who can get them to step out into their uncomfortable. They have to see you as that person who can get them to move forward. One of the biggest challenges with creating breakthrough or transformation with clients is that it takes time and it takes effort to get results. Whether you're talking about building a business or establishing a relationship or building a new relationship, improving your health or your wellness, it's a process, right? I mean, I'm looking at all the faces and all the different specialties that all of us have. All the things that we do are process, right? It takes process to get someone from starting line to finish line. All right. So it's important for you to be the person that gets them to take action. So here's your boring brand alert. All right. When you're creating your process for freemiums or for, academies or whatever it is that you create, don't make instructions in your process too dramatic or too hard to follow. For example, for the next 6 months, you'll want to blank, and you're going to give them some huge, grandiose, hard to follow instructions without making those things actionable for your ideal client to follow. Right? That's a surefire way to land in Boringville. Like, it's just too big. Like, don't be too big. Break down your process. Break down your transformation. More than ever, I talked about, today's 21st century audience has an attention span of a lightning bolt. More than ever, processes have to be simple. Steps have to be digestible. It can't be complicated. So as you're creating, even whether it's freemiums or getting started options for working with you or whatever it is, think of one very small step that your ideal client can take that would create a win for them. Remember that specific juicy outcome that I talk about all the time, or if people can see one specific juicy outcome of downloading your freemium or joining your masterclass or taking you up on your challenge, what is that specific juicy outcome that I can experience? That win is likely to bring them back and wanting more from you. All right. So here's what you can do. Make sure that your blogs or your videos or your podcasts or whatever it is that you're doing, however you're sharing you to the world, make sure they have specific steps for your client to take so that they can apply your techniques. It's just like this. Like today, I'm talking about, are you building a boring brand? I'm giving you 3 specific things: dimension, vulnerability, and action. But with each of these, I'm giving you a specific step to take. Think about this. Think about how you're going to apply this. Make this list. Is your dimension, do you have 3 words? With your vulnerability, find 3 stories and practice writing them. With your actions, map this out with the things that you're creating. I'm giving you specific things to do so that your audience who's listening to you can take action on what they're learning from you. All right. And as you're doing this, you might say something that's very, very direct, like, listen, here's what you can do right now to get immediate results. Show people and tell people and let people experience you in a way where they are inspired to act, inspired to move, inspired to take steps based upon what they learn from you. Because as soon as you can position yourself with an audience of people that hang with you, they pay attention to you, they listen to what you say and they apply it, and then they find themselves getting results based upon what they've learned from you, you will find yourself with paying clients. Because if people can experience wins from your free information, it just stirs up in your mind. Man, imagine what it'd be like if I hired them. Imagine how much they could help me if I was actually in their program, or I had access to them on a daily basis, or I could have a Zoom call with them, right? It's huge, hugely impactful. All right. So 3 things: dimension, vulnerability, and action. That's your key to making sure that you don't have a boring brand. All right, guys, I appreciate you. I know how long we've been on here. 40 minutes. 40 minutes of your time is so incredibly valuable. So I appreciate you guys spending your time with me today. Y'all are amazing. Have an amazing day today. Be intentional with your time today. Be intentional with your talent. If you need anything from me, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Y'all are awesome. Cheers and good morning to you. I hope your morning beverage is delicious. I hope your Tuesday is spectacular. Get about your day. Be a good steward of the assignments that the Lord has put on your plate today. And I will see you guys all around the web. You're so welcome, guys. See you later. All right. Bye-bye.